Hello, I'm going to make a quick video on how to implement doc scraping in the Gemini Project Assistant. And at the end of this video, I'll also show how to use the doc scraper as a standalone if you're interested in that. So you come here to the Gemini Project Assistant repo. I'll put links in the description as well as copies of these commands. Go here and download the zip file. And then also for the doc scraper, go to that repo and download the zip file. And now that we have these downloaded, you want to extract the files. So here we have the Gemini Project Assistant extracted. And here we have the doc scraper extracted. So now you want to go into your Gemini Project Assistant folder, go into Tools. There's a doc scraper folder here. So we'll go back to our Downloads folder and we'll go into the doc scraper repo and we'll copy all of these files into the Gemini Project Assistant /tools/doc scraper folder. Now we have all the files that we need. So we'll head back into our Gemini Project Assistant installation directory. We'll open up a terminal, or if you open up a terminal that is, you can't like open it up by right clicking and clicking open in terminal. You just have to cd into your /downloads. So this will depend on if you're on Linux, Mac, or Windows, but it should be relatively simple to do. And we'll cd into that directory, and then you run, well, I'm going to create a virtual environment because I don't want to install the requirements globally. So let me do that quickly. I forgot the command for a second. Virtual env. And you just, if you want to do that, you just create the name of the virtual environment and you activate it. Alright, so now that I have my virtual environment loaded, I can run the command, these commands here on the right side. So we'll do pip install -r to let it know that we're installing from a requirements.txt file, and then we type the name of the file, and that'll install that. And then for the requirements for the doc scraper, we will run pip install -r. Since we're in the Gemini Project Assistant directory, we type /tools/docscraper /requirements.txt. Now we'll install those files. Now all we need to do is type python./project assistant, whatever the file name here is, project assistant v1.2.py. Oops. And right away it will ask for our API key. So we got this little pop-up here when we ran this. It's asking for the API key. So that's where this third link comes into play. Head over to aistudio.google.com. That's here. You just click get API key. You'll have to sign in with your Google account or whatever. You can click create API key right here. I already have one generated. So let me just copy that in quick. And once you copy the API key in, you just hit OK. So I did that. You get these warnings. They're just warnings, not anything going wrong, just to warn you about the use of AI and stuff. Except use for the application. and it opens up. You can go into your settings here, into configuration. You'll get alerted that there's no default configuration found. And then you can change the model here. If you download this version, the current version of the repo, not the latest release, but the current version of the master branch of the repo, you have the option to choose Gemini Pro experimental. That is, I think, what it seems to be, because I used it for like $100 of stuff yesterday and it didn't charge my account. So that's free to use. Flash is very cheap to use, and Pro is normal Pro pricing. It's a little bit more expensive. So we can select experimental. You can adjust your settings or whatever. Hit save. We'll restart it so it loads the model we want to use. We'll relaunch the application by running that command again. Get the warning again. Accept the terms again. And now inside the tools menu here, there's an option, scrape docs from URL. Click that. It gives you a little warning that it can take a long time. Then you just enter the URL you want to scrape, hello.com/docs, and it'll scrape that. And then it says documentation scraped successfully. That'll take a long time depending on how much documentation you're trying to scrape. Just warning you, and it doesn't do anything except like go scraping ... So and there's no way to cancel it besides closing the app. So anyway, you can click send docs directory, and inside your tools, in your Gemini Project Assistant folder, whatever you installed it at. So here it's in downloads / Gemini Project Assistant. You can navigate around your file system. Go into tools, docscraper, and there should be a scraped folder in here, but because that website didn't exist, there's not. You could just select that scraped folder. That'll send all the documentation that you have downloaded, or you can go inside that folder and select specific things. I'll just send in the docscraper folder as an example, so that's actually just going to send in these files. And then you can just type a message. You get a little pop-up before the message that says how many tokens it's going to use, and that can take a little bit to calculate as well. And then you say hello, use this documentation to help with my project. Hit send. It can take a little bit of a long time depending on how much you send in, but since there's nothing that we really send in, it just gives a response right away. And then if you want to send in some of your project files, you go into tools, add files or paths to context. So we can send in a tree of all the files. We didn't set our project directory. You do that in the settings here. You can set a project directory. But we'll just send in an example file. How can I don't know, whatever you're trying to do. The main point was to get the documentation working and show you how to do that. Now, if you're just trying to install the docscraper by itself and you want to use that, we'll go back into our downloads here. I'm in my downloads folder in the terminal. I'm in the downloads folder on my file manager here. We'll open another copy of this because we took the files out of this one. So inside the docscraper folder, we have these files. We will cd into that directory, and you can see the files in there. So here you just simply run pip install -r requirements.txt. It will install those. Then you can run python docscraper.py. Then you enter your website URL. I'll actually do one this time and pause it. So let's say we want to download the Gemini API docs. I think that's the URL. And you can see it's downloading. It's going through each of these pages. So this is the first page is docs/API key, docs/quickstart, docs/downloads. And those will get added here. Depending on the URL, it's in like some subfolders. So AI, Google, Dev, Gemini API, Docs. And so here's all the stuff it scraped so far. And it just downloads it into text files. So if there's some errors, if like if the code on the documentation is inside all these HTML tags and stuff, it doesn't always grab that. But yeah, you can also modify this however you want. There's the repo. So looks like this finished, and we have our documentation. Thank you for watching.